you have to stop sometime. You can't just, And somebody's probably going to say, well, who's to say I can't? I'm here to say that you're not going to. Hey out there in Guitar Land. So I've got a special guest today. His name is Marcus. He's a very soft and good kitty. And right now he just needs my lap, so this is where we're going to start. If I were to tell you that of all the guitar playing that I've seen on the internet, almost all of it being amateurs just like myself, there is one major thing that is being overlooked. A lot of these cats have super chops. They can play all sorts of amazing things that I could have only dreamed of playing if I was playing for a year or 2 or 3. I wouldn't exactly say 4. I'd say by the time I was 4th year in playing, I kind of had some stuff put together on this front. But one of the things that they're missing completely while honing these massive, super chops is vibrato. It is the most overlooked thing, and at the same time, the most important thing in guitar playing, especially nowadays, it seems. So what I'm talking about is boiled down to this. I'm going to play 1,000 notes, but I got to stop sometime. And when I do, I want to be able to make a statement when I stop. I want to be able to stop and let it be known that I'm making a point here, or letting it be known that there's some sensitivity to be had with this. It's just a way of emoting. Nobody talks in monotone. If they do, I have some serious questions. But nobody really just sits down and talks like this. Hi, how are you doing? Nobody does that. Singers don't just sing like, hello, how are you doing? No, they have lots of different notes. Sure. Hello, how are you doing? But you still are going to stop, and you're not just going to stop on one note solid. You're going to accent it. You're going to, give it a little bit of a vibe, a vibrato. You're going to shake it a little bit. It's important. So before I start playing, I just want it to be known that it shows what you don't practice really comes through. And the difference between a good guitar player and a not so good guitar player, even a bad guitar player, all boils down to vibrato. Even the blues guys knows this. And I don't cite them for an awful lot of advice, but it's one of the best advices that I got. This is just personal, but one of the best advices I got was an old guitar player, a friend of mine and teacher, Tom Queen, good, amazing guitar player, used to talk to me about how B.B. King would sit down or at least say, this is what he told me, B.B. King would sit down and practice his vibrato for like 2 hours a day. And so I would do the same thing. I worshipped guitar players like Andy LaRocque, the best vibrato in the world. Pete Black, amazing vibrato, of course, both in King Diamond. Yngwie Malmsteen, the sexiest vibrato alive, because it's vibrato in like 5/4 over triplets. It's fantastic. It's just got this marvelous quality to it. It's very sensual. It's great. And then there's essential players that play incredibly fast vibrato. Kirk Hammett's got vibrato that's way too fast, but at least he has it. It's good. I recognize it for what it is. It's great. It's actually kind of hard to replicate. Pick your favorite guitar player. Your favorite guitar player is one of your favorite guitar players, probably because the vibrato is so good. So my underlying theme here is don't overlook this. And it looks like Marcus is getting up, so let's go ahead and target some stuff that you can do to actually improve it. All right, so I do want to add just this one little side note here. Notice that there's no fretboard inlay. Anyway, notice there's no fretboard inlay. You will not need it for this episode. I guarantee it. So pick a note. It doesn't matter what I play here. It just matters what you play. Pick a note. And we're gonna use all of our fingers for this today. Pick a note. There's a note. Don't even have the volume all the way up. I just need it to sing a little bit. I'm going to take that note, and I'm just going to go ahead and hold that note, and I'm going to move my wrist like this. Okay? That's it. Simple up and down kind of motion. Now let's take a look at it and listen to what it is that we're playing, right? And think to yourself, is that the sound you want to hear? Or do I need to change it somehow? Like, if I'm going after a vibrato like Kirk Hammett, it would be really, if I'm going after Zakk Wylde, you have to really, move some air. But and some steel to get that kind of a thing. But the question is what do you want to hear out of it? I don't think you want to hear this. Something tells me that the guitarists you like, or the music that you like, doesn't include maybe shake here, maybe shake there, wiggle the finger just a little bit. Doesn't sound like that, I'll bet you. Take the finger, root it down, bend the wrist. And there's an alternate take to this. You can also, if you're one of those super classical cats that, must have your thumb way down here, you can move your finger, but it's a little harder to really get the motion solid, right? The point is to make it sound, though, like what you're hearing in your head. Not what it is that you're just doing on a physical level. No. You want to try to ingrain it in your muscles, your tendons, your fibers, that when I think that this comes out. You want it's not just hand-eye coordination, it's hand-ear coordination here. You want this to be synchronized. You want it to be one thing. So if I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to hit a note, sustain it, and then vibrato a little bit, because that's the way it feels to me. Hang on. Shake it. Little vibrato real quick. And I'm just kind of... And you can do the same thing. By the way, this is fret 5 and 7 that I'm working back and forth between. So, first finger, you got that. Second finger, keep your first finger rooted. Same thing, I'm just moving my wrist. Third finger. Same thing, I'm just moving my wrist. Notice what I did there? I'll get to that in a second. These 3 fingers are locked down. This one is up. Why? I'm muting those strings with it to give it a little extra thwack, this glissandro, or ghost notes. Gives it a little extra front end thrust. So, I don't have to do that, I can just do it all with this hand, but this is kind of a natural thing. So for that, there's a little push going on there. Now, that's all fine and good. I can go down, go up. Works both ways. Maybe you want to hear that. The point is, though, it should be what you're hearing in your head that you can emulate, that you can bring forth to the world and let the world hear you for who you are. Right? Okay, so let's skip along because we've done this here, and this is effectively the same kind of technique as you use on lower and higher strings, somewhat. On the lower strings, you definitely want to have the floorward pull, downward pull. Why? Because if you go this way, well, it's all over, right? So you want it down. And I'm moving fingers there. But that's important. Now, the higher string is all going to go in the opposite direction. It's going to go up. Because you have to, otherwise, it's the same problem as down here. You know, you can get some really neat sounds that way, sure, like the whole Kirk Hammett, pull the string off of there in the Kirk Hammett. No, it is Kirk Hammett. In the, Master of Puppets. Yeah, it's not a harmonic. He pulls that clean off, and it's a note made on the pickup, effectively, but my pickup's a little farther back, and it's not covered in metal, so good times. Anyway, so yeah, he made that note off of his pulling the string off, apparently, so fun times. All right, so here we're bending up, we're bending up, we're bending up, and yes, use your pinky, because if you're playing a really quick run, you may need to, if that's where you're saying, I want to stop, or where your mind says, I want to go to this note. So you go to that note, this target note. You know, use your pinky. Make sure that it gets in there. It needs the work. It needs the practice. Okay. A long time ago, I read an article in Guitar Player magazine talking with Steve Vai about the different types of vibrato. Now, the ones that we are accustomed to are the standard blues model of the kind of up and down, floorward, skyward motion. So that's something you can do, is incorporate both groundward and skyward. Make them sound the same, make them sound faster. If you wanted to, sure, slower. But that's only type 1. Now, type 2 would be the classical approach. So sometimes you see guitarists push kind of forward, kind of like so. And what they're doing there, and it's not just guitar players, of course, it's violinists as well. But now, keep in mind, they're doing this with nylon strings most of the time, especially the guitarist, right? And it's a lot easier to deflect a string and make it go flat or sharp if you have nylon strings. It's also easier to do that if you have a hardtail, which this is not. So bear in mind that when I push this way, it's not going to move much. In fact, it's going to kind of go up a little bit because I have to push down into a fret. So I am getting a deflection, upwards. So if I were to do that, see, I want to default back to that. But it still works, you can hear it. So, that's type 2. Vai came up with a type 3 vibrato, which is a combination of both the front, or the first part and the second part. And if you decide to take this information to Reddit, do be aware that there's a lot of weird people out there that decide what is and what isn't real according to them, and decide that what they're going to do is foist it upon you as gospel truth that's inarguable. The problem with Reddit is it is a raging hellscape that no human being should probably venture forth into. It is Mordor in the universe of Tolkien. So one does not simply walk into Reddit. In fact, stay the hell away as much as you can, even if you've got a one ring of power that you want to go ahead and drop for them, in this case being information. I speak from experience, lads. You should learn to appreciate it. Anyway, so back in the Shire, there are 3 types. The third type of vibrato combines the first and the second. So it's called a circular vibrato. So what you would do is you would begin by pushing forward, and you'll see Vai do this in all settings. It's this kind of weird hand motion, but he's been doing it for 40 years plus, and he's kind of got it locked in. He's like the only cat that really, really, really does this. It's almost like a patented move. So, but what that is hit it, push forward, which again, I'm not getting any deflection. I should use a lower string. Yeah, we're a little lower on that. Then you would move that to the downward position. Release the downward position upward and pull back. So, and then release that and push forward skyward. So it's that way, that way, that way, that way. And the point would try to be Again, it's hard to replicate, especially, I'm playing 10s here. So it is hard to replicate on steel strings. I don't know what gauge of strings he uses, but I'm thinking it's probably not 10s. And Vi is just a one... you can't touch him. The man is a genius and a god amongst men as far as, guitar playing is concerned. But, don't let this stop you. Endeavor to try. It's worthwhile. But the point would be is to try to keep every note that you go to the same all the way around, okay? So if I was to go downward, you're not going to get the same note, but it's effectively... And especially to get that rhythmic, it isn't easy. Use Vi himself as your example here, because as for me, I'll just stick with the classics. But I do think that complete knowledge is better than, knowledge that has holes or omissions in it. So since we're on the topic of moving some strings around, let's go ahead and venture forth just a little bit into bends, because that's the second biggest problem I've seen with guitarists on the internet. Aside from the possibility of tone, or maybe not playing with as much authority as they could, that's fine. We all start in the places that we start at. But bends is another thing that seems to be kind of, overlooked in modern day training. And again, you have to stop sometime. You can't just, And somebody's probably going to say, well, who's to say I can't? I'm here to say that you're not going to. Not that you can't, but it's kind of inadvisable. Stop. Do I just let it hang? Well, I could, I guess, but... But that's better. There's more viscera there, You can bruiser your way through life, and people will herald you for it. Hell, most guitarists that... that we listen to, even if they've got super chops, again, they are going to stop sometime, and sometimes they bend. I hear Tosin Abasi doesn't do that much, but I've heard him do it, so I know he can. Anyway, the thing about the bending here is that I mentioned target notes before. For the bending here, target notes are kind of like, they're really important. So if you're going to bend, again, we're starting at 7 and going to 9. Little vibrato. Start here. You know what the note is. You hear the note. This is where ear training is very important. This is a good place to start. A little vibrato. But for bending training, don't. I tend to bend sharp. That's where the vibrato comes in to mask that. But that's on. And then hold it there. And eventually, your muscles will say, I know how hard we have to push in order to get there. But never stop listening. So pick a note, target, there, go back a fret. Listen to it, then do it, make it real. Go back 2 frets. Wow, there's a lot of deflection on the bridge today. So I'm going to hold that down. Much easier. Let's go a minor third. And then resolve it. So, Chris Poland, an amazing guitar player, that if you don't listen to, you should. Ohm, Megadeth, of course, and several other things. Just look him up on Encyclopedia Metallium. There's so much. But you should listen to him. He's got some of the best chops and stuff that I still can't do, and I'm trying. But his bending is remarkable. So he can do, he'll do slides. And... And those weren't really Chris Poland licks, but it felt like him for a second. But what I'm telling you is, pick your notes. And do it. Nail it. As for the vibrato practice, let's actually kind of codify something and nail it down. And after this, I'll kind of disappear from the internets for a little bit. 20 minutes a day. I'm serious. 20 minutes a day. I would spend a little more time with it, especially in once you start to get some of the stuff down. Spend a few hours a day after the 20 minutes. But 20 minutes a day we're going to start. Spend a few hours a day sometime during the first year, and then you'll never have to do it again. Probably. But really, I mean, if you get your stuff together, you just get through it one time, and you'll be good. So, after that, it'll be like, speaking. The language that I speak, it only took me a couple of years to get it down, and after that, well, it's the same. So, I mean, you learn as you go. You'll develop more and more as you go on, just like with any language. But in this case, really, I want you to think very hard about exactly what you're doing and when you're doing it and why you're doing it, and trying to really get you out there. Again, this is the development of an artist. This is not the development of, fluffy stuff. We all learn to punctuate our speech. This is a way of punctuating our speech. So, question. Answer. Okay, what about this? Well, answer, question, answer, call and response. And each of those has a little vibrato on it, doesn't it? Little bends. Now, if we don't want to speak the bluesy language, that's fine. But that's the point, though. What I'm trying to teach you isn't necessarily blues. It is found in all music. The vibrato. And in this case, each note that you stop on, I want you to pay attention to it. I want you to, when you hit it, I want you to mean what you're playing. Okay, if it doesn't sound, like you really meant it, whack the string a little harder. Scratch your nose a bit while you're doing that. Is that the vibrato I want to hear? No. Ah, that's a little more like it. Okay. Next note, different finger. Make sure it's a different finger. Oh, we're in major now. Right? Vibrato. Ooh, diminished. Very nice. Flat fiver. Seventh overtone. Pay attention to what it sounds like. Play it as you need it to be played. Same finger there. So, let's go down. Hey, doggy. Each note you play, mean it. Each note you play, effect vibrato on it that's meaningful. Something that you really want to hear coming out of it. If it does not, and you have to listen, if it doesn't sound like what it is that you're expecting it to sound like, you're going to have to figure out the mechanics of that. This is where a teacher is extremely helpful. All right, I want it to sound like so-and-so, but it doesn't. And don't just fall under the delusion that you sounding like crap is just you expressing yourself. Or that, I should better put it this way, don't think that you not being able to actually affect vibrato is you actually bringing your most authentic self to the table. It's not there. The guitarists that you listen to use vibrato. They have it. There isn't a single successful one that doesn't. Not one. So definitely any of the music that you've ever heard is going to have it in there. And it's in you somewhere. To think that your crap vibrato is just you expressing yourself is delusional. I'm here to help. Remember, ask me questions. I would love to try to answer them. But no, it's in there. I know it's in there. And we're going to find it and we're going to bring it out. It's definitely going to benefit you, and you'll be happy after you've gone through the process. Even if you don't want to and you go kicking and screaming because you've got super chops. if you don't stop it right, people aren't going to listen to you. They're just going to go, yeah, whatever. They're going to pass you by because they're not hearing how you talk. They're hearing how you basically run an auction. You know, hey, sold to America and all that kind of stuff. They're just listening to you talk as fast as you can. Even John Machida has to stop and take a breath sometimes. So the point would be is to let you be you. Come on out, you know, express yourself to the world. Make your vibrato meaningful, make it impactful, and make other people stand up and listen to it. It's the most important part of your guitar playing, and it's being completely overlooked. Well, not completely. There's some amazing, amazing guitar players out there on the YouTubes that have totally got their shit together. I'm just hoping that this message finds its way to the hands of the people who may not see it yet, but need it the most. And if you know somebody who needs it, let them watch this. Some important stuff. And while I'm at it, one last thing is if you're doing tapping, if you stop, don't vibrato with your right hand. You can, but unintended consequences may be the result. Use your left hand. Shake it. If you're doing bends, don't bend with this hand. And please, by all means, play a lot better than I'm doing right now. But you get the general idea. All of this is the key, fret hand-wise, for those kind of sounds as well. It's all in the left hand. Well, for me, it's the left hand. If you're a left-handed guitar player and you don't play right-handed, it's all in your right hand. But you know the drill. Anyway, I hope that this has some sort of an impact, and I probably was a bit long-winded about it, but I'm also very passionate about the topic. And I do hope that you practice. I do hope you have any questions. Again, I'll field them, no problem. I'd be happy to help wherever I can, or be snarky back if I have to. Take care of yourselves. Be well.